I didn't start.
All right, good morning, Miss Patterson, Miss Brimage. Can y'all hear me? Miss Laser? Hey, Miss Pilgrim, come on in. Come on in. You can have a seat right over there. Miss Laser, Miss Brimage, Miss Patterson, can you all hear me fine? Awesome. All right, Miss Stanley, Miss Dubis, Miss Mayberry, what I will get y'all to do is while I am going through this, if y'all can just monitor the chat bar, whatever your window, if you can just monitor that, make sure that when questions come up, I'm going to give my focus to kind of what's going on out here. So those at home, if you would, just make sure when you chat to everyone, because if it is directly to me, I will not be able to see it because I want to be focused on with what's going on around here, okay? So to give you a little rundown of what we're going to go over today, we're going to start off with our staff handbook. Now, our staff handbook, some of it is legit right now. Some of it is, of course, not. That's the reason why we did the addendum. So we're going to go through those things. But after that, the office staff will come in here. They will kind of provide you some procedures that you'll need to know just as far as office staff. Some of it may be already known to some of y'all, but just to make sure that we're all on the same page. Then after that, Miss Mayberry and the ICs will be walking around and they'll give you a little tour of the school and also let you see your classroom so that you can kind of get an idea and start planning. Okay? Good with that? All right, so our staff handbook for the people that have been here before, they can tell you that the staff handbook has always kind of been like our Bible. I've kind of tried to make a comprehensive staff handbook that covered everything so that all answers or all questions would be answered through that handbook. So it's kind of like our Bible. It's what we live and breathe by. I feel like as educators, we all kind of want to know the expectations. So that's why this handbook is so important. There's some things in here, like I said, that are obsolete this year, but that's the purpose of the addendum. And we'll just kind of keep on going. But I didn't want to delete all those things because hopefully we can get to some normalcy after a while. Okay. All right. So our Pactola staff handbook. So as you can see here, this is our mission and vision statement. As you all know, we are a global school, and we are working towards being a dual language school in the next couple of years. So this past year, we just remade or revamped our mission and vision statement to focus, to hone in on our global competencies here. Okay, so I won't read those for you because you have them in front of you, but you will see that we have the acronym GLOBAL as far as our school vision. We will hopefully get those displayed around the school so that our staff and students can constantly be reminded of it. Okay, so it's something that we're very, very excited about. I know we have 3 individuals in here, actually 4 individuals in here that have had experience with global schools before, and 3 of y'all that have got dual language experience as well. So very, very excited about that. Thankfully, we don't have to worry about that this year as we've got enough on our plate right now. But hopefully we can, hey, Miss Birdie, how are you doing? But hopefully we can kind of get on that maybe the second half of the school year and get things started with that, okay? So you have all probably seen this, but on the staff website, there's a staff student handbook. You can always access the staff handbook right through this link right here. If you click on any one of these links, it will take you directly to the actual place in the handbook. Okay, so instead of just putting numbers off to the side, all I did was link it so it's bookmarked, so you can click on any one of these links here and it will take you directly to if you're accessing it virtually or online. Of course, if you got it in front of you, you're just going to have to flip through the pages in order to find it. All right, so the forward, this is just to kind of talk about our handbook here. These policies and procedures, of course, are used to effectively run a school. But of course, things are always changing as we've seen this year. So if there's ever any concerns, questions, or comments, just make sure we go about it the correct way, the school improvement team. they kind of bring it to our attention that say, hey, let's look at this. Let's adjust this, adapt for this. Okay. So that's just all the forward is saying. All right, a shared sense of direction. So a lot of times when we're discussing as a leadership team, as a school, we talk about, what is your vision? What do you want from your school, your students, your staff? So this shared sense of direction is just what I came up with a few years ago. And it's exactly that. It's kind of an all-together mentality of what we need to do going forward. I'm not going to read the whole thing for you, but I do want to kind of point out some important pieces in here for you. So this first piece right here is the first underlined piece that says each and every student matters each and every day. We know that. We are all in education. We all got into education because of the kids, right? It's not because of the summers off or the high pay. So each and every student matters. We all know that, but sometimes we have to be reminded of that. I have to be reminded of it. Sometimes I get bogged down into the details and get overwhelmed with things. That's perfectly fine, but we just have to remember that each and every student does matter in each and every day. Okay, our county's hashtag is every single day. Some of y'all know that, so that's kind of aligned closely with that. One thing I've kind of preached to our staff a lot is shifting our mindset from sympathy to empathy. Um, I got here in January, what was it, 2018? Do you remember, Stanley? Brody? Was it January 2018, I believe? It was a mid-year, yes. So January 2018. So when I got here, the staff were doing great, but it was a lot of sympathy towards the kids. And that's fine in its right place. But what I wanted us to go into the new school year was shifting our mindset to empathy. Some of you know this, some of you may not. Our students are wonderful students. We are a Title I school. That means 100% of our students get free breakfast and free lunch. They are wonderful, wonderful students, but they do not come with a lot of extra stuff that maybe some of your more affluent communities have. And that's perfectly fine. It does not take anything away from them. But if we sit here and have a mindset of, oh, poor Johnny, you can't do this, let me do it for you, that's never going to help a kid, right? It's just going to enable them. So I wanted us to shift our mindset here as a school, and we've done that since then. Shift our mindset from the sympathy, oh, let me help you out, poor little child, to, okay, I feel you, I understand you. Let me push you to get to that next step. Okay, so that's kind of the mindset that I want us to adopt going into this new school year, especially all that's been going on right now is that mindset of empathy. Okay, so you'll hear me say that a lot, empathizing, not sympathizing. Okay, what we can do and will do is provide them an environment where they feel supported and cared for. Okay, some of our families are struggling. The COVID-19, of course, has just amplified that struggle to an all-time high. We can't do anything to change that, but we can always support the kid. A lot of our kids come here because they feel safe. They provide some meal, love, nurturing environment. So we just need to kind of keep that mindset. It's what we may see as a behavior sometimes may just be a kid acting out, okay, because they did not get any sleep. We've all had experiences that as educators, we all have run across probably multiple families that we've had that experience with. So that's just something to kind of keep in the forefront of your mind. I also preach a lot about student to teacher relationships. I share with my beginning teachers all the time, first year teachers especially. I started off teaching at a middle school right down the road, and I was first year teacher in a school that had just redistricted. We had about 800 students. My first year was living HE double hockey sticks. I had 2 out of my 3 classes that were coming from another middle school, and they did not want to be in there, and it was my fault. And I did not understand the importance of relationships with students that first year. And because of that, I had relationships with them, but I didn't have the correct ones, the appropriate ones. So it was more of a friend than a teacher. relationship. So you'll see me talk and hear me talk a lot about teacher to student relationships. That's just something to keep in mind. The old adage is you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink, right? So that's just something to kind of keep in mind. We're all experiencing here, so that's something that we all know very, very well. Okay. This next piece right here is accountability. I am very much about accountability. I am one that I used to, we'll have to readjust coming into this upcoming school year, but I would require you to turn in this at a certain time and this at a certain time and this at a certain time. If my thoughts are, if we're holding our students accountable, then we have to hold ourselves accountable too. It's not at all to put anyone down, but it's just, you have to have those measures in place to have success. We've been very, very fortunate here at Pactolus that we've experienced some success. I think in a half a year, we were able to get out low performing. And in the next school year, we grew a whole 11 points in our school performance grade. So, you know, we went from a D school to a C school. So the work is not done yet, but the accountability is something that's very, very important, okay? To kind of keep up with or go along with the accountability is the high expectations. Like I said, it kind of goes with that sympathy to empathy. Yes, I understand that, you know, our students come with us with some challenges, some burdens that they have on their personal lives, but that does not mean that we don't have high expectations for them, okay? Just like I'm going to have high expectations for y'all, I expect y'all to have high expectations for the students as well, okay? So these three little bullet points right here says, we may not get to decide which kids to serve, but we do get to decide the kind of climate in which we want to serve them. We are blessed every day with the opportunity to help change the course of someone's life with our words, our actions, and our beliefs in their abilities. By changing our perspectives, we can change lives, and that's exciting. And we cannot allow average to become our standard. Okay? So any questions about our shared sense of direction? That may seem a little strong in certain areas, but I promise you, it's a system that does work, and I have full belief in everybody in here and online as well. We handpicked y'all, so I know that having discussions with y'all, talking with your references and stuff, y'all are very closely, if not 100%, aligned to this already. So I have no doubt with that at all. Okay. As always, we're very, very excited. Very excited about everybody joining us this year. All right, any questions before we move on? Any questions on chat? All right, so the next piece here, our students are the reason we are here. Won't go through all that, but you can see that. Just as once again, student self-esteem and respect. Everybody deserves to be respected, so just keep in mind with that. It's very easy to get frustrated, especially with a student that has been working on your nerves, but we have to keep that in mind. All right, so page 6, where it says "Go Pirates" to the top. Words of advice. Not that we have an issue with this in our school, but I just, you always had to put these things in place, and maybe it's because we don't have an issue, because we have these things in place. But words of advice: just keep confidential school business with the public, or do not discuss confidential stuff with the public. That's just kind of should be known, especially when you have things going on at our school. Okay. We will handle criticism with diplomacy. We will investigate and collect all facts in order to make an informed decision. We will defend our school system, and our professional organizations. We will communicate with our parents and public in a positive manner. We will never discuss a child, parent, or school problem with others. We understand that's how rumors get started. We will discuss all Pactolus problems at school with those who have the responsibility of taking care of them. Gossip is destructive. Our goal at Pactolus is to be constructive, positive, and in a nurturing environment. We will work as a school, a team, a grade level, and a department to achieve success. and discuss with the principal any suggestions or complaints that you have about the operation of school. Okay, so that's just a little bit about the ethics. One thing that I do not handle and I do not take very lightly is gossiping. We have a community view. The community views us, the county views us, and when people view us, I want us to all have a positive outlook. I want people, when they see and hear Pactolus, that it's nothing but positive. It's not, oh, well, I know they're doing this and so is doing this and they're gossiping, they're doing this and this. Okay, so that's something that we don't handle very lightly. That's just how we function around here. But we're all professionals. I don't think that's going to be a problem. Okay, so once again, professionalism and then the code of ethics. So I gave this quote to the staff last year, and this was after we had grown 11 points on our school performance grade, went from a D to a C school. It says, if we create a culture where everyone is a learner and we all work to continuously improve, not because we aren't good enough, but because we can be even better, there is no limit to what we can achieve together. And this quote is, I kept it in here for this upcoming school year because this is definitely the case. So we're all going to be learning. We're all first year teachers. We're all first year principals, assistant principals, ICs. So I guess now is a good time to be entering into a school system because we're all learning at the same pace at the same time. So we've got 3 wonderful instructional coaches. The only school in Pitt County to have 3, by the way. So you have plenty of support. Most schools only have 1, so we're very lucky with that. So they will be providing you tons of support. We have been discussing all summer long how they can support each grade level, each individual person as well. So one thing I just want you to make sure that you understand is that you're never going to be alone here. Okay, reach out to us. We all have different areas that we feel a little bit more comfortable with. The office staff are phenomenal. They'll come in here a minute and they'll kind of go through some things with you, and you'll see how much they know and how they can show you all that they know. But by all means, just reach out to us and we can definitely help you, okay? All right, moving right along. So your Pactolus school staff. So as you can see there, the ones that are highlighted are our grade level chairs, Miss Harris, Miss Brown. Y'all got tagged as the grade level chairs this year since y'all have been in Pitt County. We also, the other individuals are coming back to Pitt County, Miss Pilgreen, and then their BTs also as well, okay? So you can see there, that's just kind of a list. We are very fortunate enough to have we have 3 teachers per grade level. We have a very, very strong encore. Very blessed in that mindset. They go above and beyond, trying to do encore in a K-8 school where you have 9 different grade levels that you've got to provide encore for. They do an awesome job with that. For those of you that do not know what CARE is, if you're looking at Miss Rouse, Miss Congleton, CARE. CARE is a model that is through Pitt County schools. It focuses on reading, primarily in 1st grade, and then they kind of work their way out from there in 2nd grade and kindergarten, and possibly 3rd grade if there's ever time. This year we may have to change them up a little bit just because we need all hands on deck. But they have the guided reading model that they utilize. Classrooms go into their classroom, but they also pull individual students out as well. We're very fortunate enough that we have some remediation teachers as well. They have all respectively asked to not start their contract until after the first marking period so that we can kind of figure some things out. So we'll kind of see how some things go. So then we'll kind of decide if we've got some extra hands on deck. Ms. Tebow here, for those of you that are new, which is everybody, of course. We have about 40% of our families here are Hispanic, Latinx, and we do not have anybody up front that can speak Spanish fluently. So we always contract with somebody to kind of help out with that. We want our families to come in and feel welcomed. So Miss Tebow this year is our ELL, ESL community translator, liaison, however you want to say it. She will be the one that if you need to make a phone call, she can make phone calls. I will let you know what her schedule is later on. It's going to be Monday through Thursday, pretty much all day that students are here. But I'll let you all know what the schedule is later on. But she'll provide phone calls. She will translate documents for you, helpful during parent-teacher conference night. Anything that you need as far as translating, she can kind of help out with that, okay? Once we start having dual language in our school, we can start relying on some teachers as well, okay? All right, so EC teachers, you can see we've got 3 EC teachers, a full-time speech language pathologist, school psychologist, one of the best ones, if not the best one in the county. Miss Barnes, which is also our OT. Miss Ashley also is her assistant for OT. Instructional assistants, as you can see over here, one of the best custodial staff that is in the county. They work very, very hard, and they are very, very prideful in making sure that they have at least an A every year. If you walk, when Miss Mayberry and the ICs walk you around, you can be able to tell that they take great pride in their work. Cafeteria staff here, and of course bus drivers. A lot of these people are dual employees, meaning that they have multiple roles, but we do have 9 buses. Okay. All right, moving right along, unless you have a question. All right, so page 10 is where we start looking at some things and we're like, okay, this doesn't really fit into this year. Page 10 was our old schedule, so you can kind of see how our old schedule worked. Of course, this schedule does not work, but I didn't want to delete it, so I'm going to keep it in there. All right, moving right along. So page 11. So we schedule, change this. I had changed it this year. All right, so this year, all of our meetings will be on Wednesdays. Okay, so if you could kind of hold Wednesdays, I'm not really sure what our meetings will look like, to be honest with you. It may be where they're all virtual. If you remember, our master's schedule goes from 8 o'clock to 1:30 with the students. 1:30 to 3 is the time that you're doing other things. We're doing other things. Probably having kids still here that haven't been picked up by a bus or a parent yet too. So not really sure what our meetings are, what they're going to look like. I'm going to try to be respectful of your time as much as possible. You're going to have a lot on your plate this year. We're all going to have a lot on our plate this year. So we're going to look at trying to minimize the time that we need to do things, because I don't need to stress you out anymore. You don't need to be stressed out any more than what you have to. So we're going to try to keep those to a minimum. As you can see here, these times up here at 3:15, that was the old time. Just keep Wednesdays if you could. Like I said, we'll kind of talk a little bit more about what those meetings will look like. Haven't quite gotten to that because there's so many other questions that need to be answered. So this was our old PLC meeting. For those of you that don't know, PLC, of course, is Professional Learning Community. So this was an initiative that our district took very, very serious last year, was PLCs. Luckily here at Pactolus, Pactolus has been doing a great job with PLCs for the past 5-6 years. So this is something that we take very seriously. For those of you who don't know, your PLC, of course, is just you and your grade level coming together, planning, looking at assessments, looking at student progress, all those things, okay? This was our old schedule. Of course, this is not the one we're going to be following this year. The grade level meetings, this is something that I do not monitor, but I suggest that change these time dates. That K4, they should meet every Wednesday during planning period. Of course, planning period is very short this year, so probably a lot of conversation is going to be talking after the students leave. And 5-8 would meet during Wednesday during their planning period as well. Okay. So some of that is relevant. A lot of it's not relevant for this upcoming school year. Any questions? Am I going too fast? Are y'all good? Okay. All right, so page 12, we're going to start getting to our committees. So one thing that we do here is that we try to give everybody some type of leadership role. Okay, the only ones that I do not give a leadership opportunity for are the first-year teachers. That being because I want them to focus solely on teaching. I don't want them to worry so much about having to communicate to a committee, trying to get information out, all those good things. Try to keep it limited to those first-year teachers just worried about their school, their classroom. After that, you're free game, you're fair game. So what I do is having conversation with y'all, knowing a little bit about y'all. I've been in scenarios as a teacher where we kind of all picked and everybody wanted to do the PTA representative because they meet once a month and they ended up not meeting and stuff like that. That's how it was at our school. So I try to put people in places. That's maybe not be the correct way to do it, but I know kind of talking with you, kind of your comfort level, your areas of strengths as well. So I try to put you in areas that I can see you grow. One of your standards on your teaching rubric deals with leadership in the school. So this is a way for me to kind of give you that opportunity. Okay. So the school improvement team, I won't go through all this stuff, but you can kind of see the primary focus, what they're responsible for, and who those individuals are. Just pay close attention to who your school improvement team representative is. So K2 would be Miss Sutherland. She's a kindergarten teacher. Miss Jones for 3-5, she's a 3rd grade teacher. And Miss Driver is an 8th grade teacher. Miss O'Neill for Encore, she is one of our music teachers. And then you can see the rest there. So moving on to PBIS. PBIS will look a little bit different this year. But you can see the primary focus, responsibilities, and then who is your representative. We try to give one representative per grade level because there's a lot of things that kind of go on with PBIS. For those of you that don't know, PBIS is just the positive behavior interventions and supports. So we are a PBIS school, making sure that we always promote positive reinforcement with our students. All right, MTSS, looking at more of the instruction piece there. You can see who those individuals are. And for MTSS instruction, what that means is when we start looking at students that get behind instructionally, we have to provide, depending on where they are, tiers of support. Depending on their tiers is how intensive we get with them. So these individuals, they come together once a month. They review all the students that we have in tier 2 or tier 3 as far as instruction is concerned. And then they look at how they can support the teachers. That's one thing that we look at a lot, is trying to provide the support for the teachers for that intensive instruction. The problem solving team, that's just as needed. That is determined, that's based off of, okay, say Ms. Woodle has somebody in her classroom that needs a little bit more intensive support. She's not necessarily on the MTSS instruction committee, but she's going to have to be a part of that conversation to determine if that child needs to be moved up to the next tier or not. The global committee, you can see right there, our global committee, who is part of that. Of course, grade level chairs. Then our PLC facilitators. Last year, our county trained somebody per grade level, and also once you get up into the 5th through 8th grade, we're a little bit more departmentalized. Everybody got trained, but to how to effectively run a PLC, where it wasn't an instructional coach or an administrator leading it. For the most part, since there are 5 of us, 3 ICs and 2 admin, we're always a part. We were always a part of PLCs last year because there's just questions that come up. We have a PLC room, all that good stuff. So we'll try to do that as best as we can. If you notice on the master schedule, you notice that some PLCs are happening simultaneously. So we'll have to work on that. I'm not sure how much I can devote, or Miss Mayberry will be able to devote, just because from 1:30 to 3 o'clock every day, who knows what's going to be going on. But ICs will be available. We'll get in as much as we can to help out. Okay. Those were our old PLC times. Once again, hospitality there. And then our Title I contacts, Miss Congleton, Miss Rouse, which are our care teachers. And then our EC contact, which is our middle school EC teacher, Miss Polly. So page 19, once again, I just try to provide some responsibilities of certain individuals in the building. I won't bore you with all those details, but that's just different responsibilities of different people. All right. Any questions before we start getting into the thick of things? All right, so now we're going to actually get into the first 19 pages were just the preface to the whole handbook. Now we're getting into page 20 where we're starting to get into the meat of things, okay? All right, so once again, some of this stuff I'm going to gloss over because I'll address it this afternoon, okay? So absences and attendance. So absences and attendance will look very different this year compared to a normal year. We haven't got guidance from DPI yet on how those will be coded into PowerSchool and all those things. But Miss Moore, our data manager, will more than likely be taking care of that if somebody's out sick for an extended 10 to 14 days. Miss Moore will kind of take care of all that and all that, doctor's notes and positive tests and all those good things. She will go a little bit more in a few minutes into what attendance will look like for her and what she'll need from you. But of course, the old rule is try to get your attendance done as soon as possible. Luckily here at Pat Tullis, we do not share buses with any other schools. A lot of other schools have to share buses and bus drivers, causing a lot of delays with students getting to school. Luckily, we have none, and they're all ours. We've been told that those are going to remain the same. So the only times we really have late buses are if it's just broke down and it's just has not left the campus yet. So typically those that come in are late. Those students that come in are just flat out late. Okay, but you can kind of see that there. This little piece right here, certified and classified staff, prior to COVID-19, and y'all are going to think I'm very strict when I say this, but please don't judge me. But I would monitor staff absences. And once again, it just goes back to the accountability piece. When I got here in January of 2018, there were about 500 absences from staff in a wide range of things, reasons. Of course, we all know things come up, and I completely understand that, and that's perfectly fine. And this year will be even more, telling. But 500 absences, and by January, half the year was, gone. We only had half a year left. There's just a lot to kind of. If we're not here, kids are not learning. So we had to put those things in there. Unfortunately, of course, this year I know that I'm going to have to be a little bit understanding of certain circumstances. I get that, but please just be mindful of your absences. I will always work with you and help you as best as I can, especially knowing what's going on this year. But if you're looking at that and you're like, wow, he's a jerk for putting that in there, just know that it had to be done. And of course, The method to my madness, I promise. All right, accident injury report. Here in Pitt County, we do have, if a student's outside, if they're PE, recess, things like that, there's an accident incident report. We take those very seriously around here because it's a paper trail. And Miss Morning, they're up in the front office. All you have to do is if you have an injured kid, and it's just say, hey, you would call the front office, say, hey, I've got an injured kid, even if it's the smallest of things. I have seen some schools, it has come back and hurt them because of the smallest little scratch, and things like that. Don't take anything, don't make sure you take it seriously. It's just a paper trail. We can say that we can have them looked out. So if you're at recess, a kid hits themselves or falls down or something like that, bumps, scrapes, bruises, and things. I've seen, some schools where they didn't do it and kid got home and ended up had a dislocated shoulder. So just make sure that you you do what you have to, the necessary steps to help out with that. Like I said, the only thing that you have to do is say, hey, Miss Strong, which as you can see right here, she's our lead first responder. She is our bookkeeper, and she'll be in here in a moment. And I'll kind of show you a picture of her because a mask kind of hides it. But Miss Strong right here, she is our lead first responder. She does all the medication. I'll get to that in just a moment. But all you have to do is, if you have a TA or somebody that can kind of either cover your class or they walk them down here. Of course, if you saw the incident, it's important that you are the one filling out the accident incident report. So just make sure that that's taken care of so that we have that paper trail. All you have to do is say, hey, Miss Strong, Miss Morning, Miss Moore, whoever is up in the front office, got an injured kid, can I complete the accident incident report, and they'll walk you through the steps, okay? So as you can see here, our lead first responder, Miss Strong. Other first responders are Coach Cox. He's one of our PE teachers. Miss Morning, which is up there in the front. Miss Hefner, which is a kindergarten teacher, and Miss Latham, which is a 7th grade teacher. All right, page 21, administration of medication. That's one thing that you don't have to worry about here at Pactolus. Miss Strong, she does all the administering of medicines. Okay, what you have to be concerned with for the most part is just making sure that you communicate to families that, hey, if you have medicine, they need to see Miss Strong. She has students that come in and out throughout the day. They come up there and get medicine and stuff like that. She kind of takes that burden off of you as far as communicating too. She'll talk with families once they get too low on certain medications. So you don't have to worry about that too much, but she'll kind of give you some more details of what to do, okay? It's nice to have that one burden lifted off of you right now, right? All right, amount of leave, not too worried about that. You can kind of read that yourself. Awards assemblies. So with us starting back a little bit earlier, our first semester ends in December. So we're hoping to have our first, we do awards ceremonies by semesters. I'm also a big person that is a big stickler on not wasting, probably shouldn't say wasting time, but not messing up a normal schedule, a normal day. So we condense all of our awards to semesters. It's first semester and the end of the year. Instructional time, of course, is very important. So we have our first semester is scheduled January 22nd. That'll be 2021. And then June 2nd and the 4th. And typically what June 2nd looks like, of course, those are the last 3 days of school, with the 3rd being in between. January 2nd is typically kindergarten through 7th grade. Kindergarten has a little graduation at the beginning of the day. And then 2nd through 7th has something throughout the day. And then we have on the 4th and 8th grade farewell. All right, building facility reminders. These are just some things to kind of make sure that you kind of pay attention to. What I do want to make sure that I bring your attention to is this last one right here. So every district kind of does things differently, but the way that our district works on is all rooms are to be kept locked and closed all day. That is something that it goes back to the safety. So if a gunman were to enter this school, the last thing you need to be concerned with is locking your door, closing your door. I know some school districts kind of do things differently. We've been towards some that, they keep them open and unlocked all day long. But that's just kind of how we operate here in Pitt County Schools. So always keep your door closed and locked. I'm sorry, I know I was a little claustrophobic when my door was closed sometimes, but that's just kind of, and that is still good for this upcoming school year through all the things that we're going through. It's just one less thing you have to worry about if there is a lockdown. Okay. Are we overwhelmed yet? All right, bulletin boards. All right, so as you can see here, making our school attractive is an excellent avenue for presenting our best to the public. We have a lot of people that come to this building all the time. Public officials, we have senior leadership up at the district. And you would be surprised when I'm walking around and talking with them, they'll stop and say, oh, I really like that bulletin board. They always have those conversations with us. So bulletin boards, they should reflect. It shouldn't be March and it's still a December bulletin board. It's still snowmen up there and all that good stuff. So what we try to do is encourage your students to do it, and I don't mean design it. Have your bulletin boards reflect student work, okay? So one thing that we do require is that the standard must be present. That's all I'm asking, is just to have the standard present on the bulletin board. You can change your bulletin board more often. It's required at least a month, and I do have dates down here that are required for when they are to be changed. But if you'd like to do it more than that, that is fine too, okay? Of course, this nice big table, colorful table here, is just kind of your classroom number and which ones you have. Now, our K2 classrooms, you have 2 of them. When you go down there, you'll see that you kind of have a little alcove area that you'll have a bulletin board on one end and another one. What we always do in K2 is one of them is just PBIS, so it stays up all year long. So you don't have to change that one. And there's a chart up there and all that good stuff that you would just put on stickers and whatnot. But the other one is the one that you'll be required to kind of change. Okay. There's a lot of bulletin boards in this building. I have had many of them taken down since I've been here, and somehow they still seem to pop up. I've never seen a school have so many bulletin boards in my life. All right, so cafeteria, we don't have to worry about that too much since we will not be eating in here. This is normally not how the cafeteria is set up, of course. That would be the entrance down there for the kids to walk through, the one that's farthest away, and then they come out the other entrance right there. But you don't have to worry about that too much this year because we won't be in here. What we will do is after we get kind of through all this opening week's agendas and all that good stuff, we are going to move these tables. So it's kind of a maze, not necessarily a maze, but it's one way in, one way out, direct the flow. We'll have signs, things on the floor to let kids know how far to be spaced out. But it will look very different than what it is right now. And we'll kind of have a one way in, one way out as far as the cafeteria is concerned too. Okay. So not too worried about that. All right, page 24. So there are, like I said, a lot of things that I'm sticklers on. Cell phones are one of those, and this is dealing with staff only, okay? Cell phones should not be used, seen, or heard during instructional time for staff members, okay? You can use those during planning periods or after school. However, keep in mind planning periods should be dedicated to instruction. If you have an emergency going on in your family, I completely understand that. I 100% understand that. If you're waiting a very important doctor phone call, understand that. Just send an email to Miss Mayberry and myself saying, hey, listen, I've got an important doctor's phone call that I'm waiting on. I'm going to leave my phone on ring. That's fine. But otherwise, they should be kind of put away, tucked away, out of sight, out of mind. Once again, we're role models for our students. if we don't want our students to have their cell phones out, playing on them, texting and all that good stuff, then we shouldn't have ours out either. They're going to see what you're doing and model and do the same thing. So just have those away. But of course, if there's something going on, just let me know, Miss Mayberry know, and we understand if we happen to be walking in your classroom at that time. Okay. Child involvement leave. If you have a child that is in Pitt County Schools, you have up to 8 hours of leave per year. They can be taken in different increments. If you want to attend an awards assembly or something like that. Okay. Classroom cleaning, campus cleanliness, and care of property. We'll talk a little bit more about that in the addendum, but this was last year's stuff. Mr. Ackland is our head custodian. Like I said earlier, he takes great pride in what he does, and he does an awesome job along with the other guys and Miss Jackson too. So he's going to let you know. He's going to let you know. So just make sure you kind of help them out at the same time, okay? All right, classroom distractions. This is not necessarily for y'all. This is more so for the office staff, ourselves. As it says in here, instructional time is very, very important. I remember being a teacher, and it was nothing for me to be teaching, phone call, answer it, go back to teaching, 30 seconds later, get another phone call, go back to teaching, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And I forgot what I was teaching that day by the third ring. So that is something that is very, very important to me. So I always have a discussion with the office staff, Miss Mayberry, Miss Cobb, which is our school's counselor. It's very, very important that instructional time. You know, you only have the kids here for a certain amount of time every day. So we need to make sure that we utilize it, and you don't need to be bothered by going in and out. Of course, there's sometimes that we can't get away from that, especially when it's a severe discipline problem or something like that going on at the time. But we will try to do our best with that, okay? Communication folders. We used to give those out every Tuesday and then be signed and returned on Wednesday. This year, I haven't made a 100% decision yet. Just because do we really want things coming back and forth? I just don't know. CDC says that a lot of things, the virus does not hang on to paper and transmission and all that good stuff. So if we get those, we'll distribute those. Just know the expectations are in here as far as that is concerned. Communication is still going to be required though, okay? So all teachers are encouraged to submit student work, of course, to our school website. It says Daily Reflector. That's just our newspaper, but you don't have to worry about that too much. School Facebook page, by all means. If you got something cool going on in your classroom, that is a good time to whip out the phone and take a picture of it. And all of our students, as far as showing their faces and stuff like that, all of our families have to opt out. Okay, you remember probably about 5 or 6 years ago, it would be like, oh my gosh, a kid, you can't show their face on Facebook and stuff like that, schools, Facebook and stuff. Well, all of our families are in, they have to opt out. So you're okay. So take pictures. Of course, don't do anything else with the pictures, but send them to me. I'll put them on our Facebook page and things like that. But the community likes to see it, okay? I used to have a requirement that all teachers had to have web pages, websites. Of course, we're all doing that anyway, so you don't have to worry about that too much. And I'm encouraging everyone to, you're gonna have to do more than this year, but last year I encouraged everybody to have at least one parent contact per week, okay? Of course, we'll be doing a lot more of that this year. Copiers. Miss Morning will get you your copier number. You have a copier on each of the grade level or grade halls. So K2 has one, 3-5 has one, and 6-8 has one. You have 2,500 copies. By all means, if you need more, and this year we understand that you may have to, you may need some more just because of all the things that are going on. All I ask is that you just send me a request. That's fine. I don't want copies to be an issue for you, okay? Hopefully with smaller class sizes, it'd be better. Counselor schedule. It was a requirement that the school counselor visit every K2 classroom 4 times a year, once a quarter, to provide counseling. I mean, social, emotional, all those kind of things. Classrooms, lesson plan. Excuse me, I'm trying to get it out. This year, Miss Cobb will probably be swamped with other things, so that probably will not be the case this year. She will be doing a lot of reaching out to families and trying to work with those that are 100% virtual. So unfortunately, we probably will not have a chance to get to that this year. Cumulative records and folders. Not going to go through this, but you can kind of read. If you want the you're required to look at your CUME records for your child prior to them coming back. Contact Miss Moore. Miss Moore, once again, our data manager. She normally has them set up based off of classes, but this year, with who knows what the classes are looking like right now, they're all kind of in together. So all of kindergartens together, all the first grades together. So you'll have to kind of do some shuffling and looking around trying to find your kids. Disability form, you don't have to worry too much about that. Discipline procedures, we're going to spend another time next week going over PBIS and discipline. I would suggest kind of read over that prior to that meeting. Miss Mayberry's working on getting everybody into our online referral system. It's called Educator's Handbook. Those that are new to a district, do you have experience with Educator's Handbook? Have you, Mr. Phillips? Okay. So Educator's Handbook is just our, Miss Pilgrim, you probably haven't had you. It's just our online discipline system, how you do a referral and stuff like that instead of doing the old paper copies. But Miss Mayberry and the PBIS team will go through all that stuff with y'all. Once again, we're trying to chunk information as if not to overwhelm you. But you can see all this stuff in here. Like I said, it's very important to kind of go through and read that. There is a student electronic device procedure on page 28. Unfortunately, we thought that that wouldn't be much of an issue with our younger grade levels. That's becoming more and more of an issue as the years go on. But there is a procedure with that, okay? Basically, you ask for it, they don't give it to you, you call me or Miss Mayberry, and unfortunately, if they don't give it to us, then we got to take next steps, okay? Middle schoolers, that's an extension of their left arm, I believe. It is. And they will fight you tooth and nail. All right, dismissal. Once again, this is our old dismissal, so you don't have to worry about that. Our dismissal will look a little bit different this year, and I'll go over that this afternoon, everyone, okay? Dress and appearance procedures. You can see all that information. That's just talking about you as a staff member. Won't go through that. Expectations. Once again, it kind of aligns with the responsibilities that were mentioned at the beginning of this handbook. All right, scroll down. Go to page 31. One of the requirements that I had of every grade level is they had to go on at least one field trip. A lot of our families, a lot of our students do not have the opportunity to leave Pactolus, Pitt County. Going to Greenville was like going to Raleigh for a lot of our kids. So I required every grade level to go on a field trip. Of course, we know this year that will not be the case. So we'll have to look at some virtual opportunities and stuff like that. But that just kind of went over all the field trip related stuff. Fire drills. I would imagine that we're still going to be having fire drills with this upcoming school year, which should be very, very interesting. We should have one at least within the first 10 days of school. You can kind of see the procedures here. You've all experienced fire drills before, so it's nothing new. But you can see here where your classroom is and where is your exit route. It's also a map in your classroom too, okay? Fundraisers. School is allowed to have one fundraiser a year. If you decide that you want to do a club or something like that, I know some of our Encore teachers, they have clubs. You can do a fundraiser too. There is a fundraiser approval form that just has to be filled out, and I have to look over it and approve it. Okay. Gifts, don't have to worry too much about that. That's more of my concern than Miss Strong's concern. But if somebody says, "Hey, here's $5,000, come see me so I can help you and we can do the correct steps," and I can find that person and invite them to Thanksgiving. All right, so global, like I said, we are a global school. So each one of our grade levels, they focus on a certain region of the world. What we try to do is pair up a younger grade level with an older grade level. Before I came to Pat Tullis, I was at another K-8 school, and the amount that you can do as far as collaboration, cross grade level collaboration, is wonderful. And I don't think we utilize that enough. So what we did was, you can see kindergarten, 8th grade has the same region, 1st and 7th, 2nd and 6th, and then once we get into 3rd through 5th, they kind of have their own. And the reason that is because we want some cross grade level collaboration going on. So if you are part of those regions that have multiple grade levels, really reach out and rely on those around you. Okay. Encore and pre-K, y'all are kind of the passport to the world. So you get to explore all these. Okay. And we'll go a little bit more into the global stuff right now. We have our own little trainer. As Miss Dubis, Miss Brown, and Miss Harris, they already know him. CJ is his name. He'll be out here plenty of times. There'll be a lot of things that we do with global, but right now, I don't want to go over that with you right now, just because you need to focus on safety and students coming into these classrooms, this building in a couple weeks. Okay, so that will be a process. So don't feel like you got to know all about global right now. Okay. Gmail, email, just try to check your email as much as possible. I know it's very easy to get overwhelmed sometimes, but those are just some suggested times. I get it if you leave school at 3:30, cut it off, that's fine. I understand. Just try to make sure you check your email throughout the school day as well. Okay. Grades, I used to have this as a requirement. Right now, DPI has not provided any guidance on how we do grades. So that's kind of obsolete, but you could see last year that was kind of the expectations. Once again, it's the accountability thing. We would do a grade book check every Monday, just to make sure that those amount in there. Once again, you don't want to be a parent and 2 days before the progress report get all the grades uploaded, and all of a sudden your kid's fell and you not know it, or at the very end of the marking period, because I've seen this happen too, all 30 grades uploaded a week before report cards go home, and you had no idea your child was failing. All right, homeroom. Prior to this year, and it'll still be the same this year as well. As you can see, our cafeteria is small. It's small. When you have 550 students, not everybody can eat breakfast in here in the morning time. So we would always have a grab and go. Of course, that is going to align with this year as well. But that homeroom time was used for, of course, for eating breakfast, cleaning up, and also making sure that students are doing something, whether it's DEAR, drop everything and read, doing something. As a previous middle school teacher, I know that idle minds are very, very dangerous. If you don't have a kid doing something, a student doing something, then that's when things get very, very dangerous. So keep that in mind. And you do, with this upcoming year, you have students coming in at anywhere from 7:30 to 8 o'clock. So there's 30 minutes there. A lot of that time this year will probably be used sanitizing. Never thought I would say that. All right, IEPs. So we are a Google county, so we do everything, of course, through Google, Gmail, Google Drive, Google Calendar. So the EC teachers, they always send out, I ask them to plan out all the EC IEP meetings for the year at the very beginning. So they go ahead and sit down and plan out all their IEPs because when you have three EC teachers, only two, Miss Mayberry and myself, we just have to be able to know long term what's coming up and stuff like that. So when they send out those invites, please don't ignore it. If you're on a grade level where you're departmentalized 5th through 8th grade, don't automatically assume that your teammate's going to pick it up. Make sure you have a conversation and say, hey, of course we want as many to attend that meeting as possible, especially with the departmentalized 5th through 8th grades, because this student may only get reading services. What the math teacher may or may not be a good one to have in that meeting or not. Okay, so just make sure you, of course, respond with yes, no, maybe. Bring work samples if that's important, and just make sure that you are talking with your teammates. Also, I require all of us in the IEP to be very active participants. That means do not come in with a laptop and plan tomorrow's lesson plans. Do not come in with a stack of papers that you need to grade for tomorrow. When you're a part of that meeting, you have to be an active participant, okay? That just is what's important for the kid, but also when you have parents in there as well, just what are you signaling to that parent, okay? Inclement weather. Interesting that that's in tomorrow. Tropical storm Isaias. You don't have to come tomorrow, so don't worry. Late for work. So this is another one of my big sticklers. It is not acceptable to be late for work. In an emergency situation if an emergency situation arises, please call admin in the office by 7 a.m. See right here that it says staff members must check into Raptor daily. I'll talk a little bit more about what Raptor is, but the key thing there is just make sure don't show up late. I can understand if your battery's dead or you got stuck behind a train once or twice, but what I require. Is that me? No. What I require is whenever somebody's late, they have to send me an email stating why they're late. That's documentation. And of course, some people, this is a trend that starts to develop. Once again, it's all about professionalism. This year, of course, we're gonna have to look at 7:20. I know that puts us in a very tight situation because of daycare and other things. But 7:20, I'll discuss that later on too. But 7:20 is that time that all staff have to be on campus. Okay. Are there any questions?
Patterson wants to know when the building will be open.
When the building, every day, Ms. Patterson. So what we're requiring is for staff to, and I'm going to give more definite about this, Ms. Patterson, but the building's open early. I'm not going to tell you what time though, because I don't want anybody to show up at that time. But one thing that we got to take in consideration this year are temperature checks. So I have to have somebody here to have the temperature checks. We have some staff members. Miss Morning is always here very early. So I would say 6:50 is going to be the earliest that people can get in. And if that by 6:50, I'm here if nothing else. Any other questions? Okay. All right. Lesson plans. So I do require lesson plans to be turned in 7 p.m. each Sunday. We'll talk once we get into our curriculum and instruction and assessment meetings. We'll talk a little bit about what template and all that is concerned. But lesson plans are due every Sunday at 7 p.m. Of course, that's good for Miss Mayberry and myself when we start doing observations and walkthroughs. We always like to look at your lesson plans and see what we're watching and observing is what we're seeing on paper at the same time. There is a little bit, if you see right here, it says all instructional staff must complete emergency plans folders to submit to instructional coaches by September 11th. We'll talk a little bit more about those emergency lesson plans at a later date. Okay. We used to do 3 days, but you know. All right, lounges, just a little bit of information there. Mailboxes, we'll show you where your mailbox is, but if you could just kind of clean those out as best as possible. Money collection procedures, Miss Strong will go over that. If you would, go to page 38. So non-employment, school employment, all this is really saying, and I don't necessarily think this will be an issue. But of course, the first job, primary job, of course, is Pat told us. But I understand that, you know, as educators, we probably have to look at second jobs and supplements and stuff like that. Just try to, if you have a second job, just try to make sure that that work schedule of that second job doesn't interfere with what's going on here, Pat told us. Parent contact, once again, that's going to be more important this year than ever. Payroll, you don't have to worry too much about that. That's information in there for you. Page 39, permission to leave campus. Being out here in the boondocks of Pat told us, there's not many places to go. So at no time should any staff member leave campus without obtaining permission from me, okay? Your PDP, your professional development plan, we'll have a separate meeting. I know it's a lot of separate meetings coming up, but we'll have a separate meeting to talk more about NISAs. So NISAs, for those of you who don't know, is just your online evaluation plan and your professional development plan. And it's those two together. What I always do is I walk you through that. I tell you how many observations you're going to have this year, from whom, and all those good things. And then I'll always, for your PDP, you have to have at least 2 goals. I always give everybody in the school one common goal. Last year, it was Standard 4, Element A. This year will be the same one because we didn't finish it. We stopped, and of course, in March, so we're just going to continue that going into this next school year. So I've already got written out exactly what you say, what you type in, and then you can model your second goal after that first one, okay? Prohibited relationships with students. Not going to go into that one. We all are adults and stuff like that, but it's in there just in case. PLCs, once again. Raptor. So prior to this year, we have a program called Raptor. And the requirement is that once you get your badge, you'll have a little barcode on that. And what you'll come in, you'll do is you'll swipe that barcode. And what that does is it makes a list of who's in the building that day. So if we go on a lockdown, we have to pull the list. We know that Ms. Garcia was here, but Mr. Phillips was not here. So that was a requirement every year that you come in, you swipe your badge. That also gave you a point of, okay, I have to be by that computer by 7:30. And of course, if it wasn't, then that's when you had to email me. This year, it doesn't make sense for us all to be crowded around a computer, even though you won't be touching anything. All you have to do is swipe your badge. It still doesn't make sense to have everybody congested in one area. Okay, so we're going to have to maneuver some things with that this year. Okay, but that's why that was in their Raptor system. It's just a system kind of tell who's in the building at the time if a lockdown were to occur for safety reasons and stuff like that. Refrigerator and microwave use. Recess. So every grade level has a school radio. Just make sure that you take that radio out there with you. And we will have recess for K through 5 again this year. It will be outside. Like I said last week, it's going to be a little bit different. Looks a little bit different. I'll give you some more guidance about that. But I think it's important that y'all still get out. It's important that the young ones get out, stretch their legs. We've got plenty of open area to do that. So we'll talk about that. Just make sure you get the radio. Your grade level chair should have that radio. Just get that from them. You should also, all K-5 teachers have a reflective vest in your classroom. If not, let me know. But it is required for that reflective vest for you to wear that vest while you're outside too. The reason being, if Miss Mayberry and I have to take off running outside to help you out with something, we need to be able to identify you quickly and easily. As you can see, I have to wear glasses to be able to see far away. So when I'm running outside at high speed, I don't know who, I mean, some of, y'all are blessed enough to look like the kids sometimes. So I need to kind of be able to identify you very easily. So if you would just wear that reflective vest so that I can say, okay, there's Miss Harris, let me head that way and figure out what I can do to help, okay? Also, and this shouldn't be too much the case this year, but a lot of accidents can happen at recess. Once again, when I got here, that was the case where I think in a very short time period, they had about 3 or 4 concussions. So once again, had to put some structures in place for recess as well. But this year is going to be very structured. Okay. Yes.
Just to add to that, if you are at recess and you have to radio us or something for the different running, just make sure you're not panicking on the radio because we can understand you when you're like, oh my gosh, just try to keep your phone on the radio so we can know like we need to like what's happening.
All right, school office. That goes back to our professionalism. The entire school is a business, and then make sure that we're professional in that mindset. Any issues that you have, come to my office. Bring them to my office. Don't display them out for the whole school to see. Okay. School parties, those will not be allowed this year, as I highlight in my addendum, but that's just there for future reference. Social media. You are public figures in this community now, and in this county. So just be mindful of what you put on social media. That's one thing I don't want to, or I shouldn't have to police. But of course, we all know that some things, we go on emotion sometimes, especially this year will be the case for that. And then I get that phone call and say, hey, your teacher has this on social media. It's a little bit embarrassing for me. It hasn't happened to me yet, but I can imagine it being a little bit embarrassing. And of course, it's going to be an embarrassing conversation that I have to have with you. Okay. Student supervision. Just make sure that you're always, don't take things for granted. It's very easy to walk out of the classroom to the next classroom to ask a question of your teammate, but it can be very, very dangerous. If something were to happen and a parent says, well, where was the teacher at that time? And I don't have an answer and you don't have an answer, of course, a liability issue there, okay? Substitute calling, you're lucky. We're lucky here that Miss Morning kind of does all the substitute calling for us. I will say the 2 strong subs that we had, the 2 most reliable subs that we have both asked not to be called this year. So we're going to figure that out. So tardy early dismissal procedures, this is more for students. As you can see here, this is kind of what would happen if students start to become absent or tardy. This pertained to last school year. Not sure how that's going to look this year because the virtual piece and, well, I do know that because I have it outlined. But as far as the face-to-face, when you're talking about kids being home for 10 to 14 days, okay? Teacher websites, you can omit this for right now because that will be your Canvas or your Seesaw. I had required last year that every student do this device acceptable use policy. The county is doing a student device agreement, so that's kind of obsolete for right now. Textbooks, if you're even lucky to have a textbook, that was in there for that. Title I events, like I said, we are a Title I school. With being a Title I school, you have to have Title I parental involvement events. You're required to have at least 5. As you can see, there's only 3 listed there because 2 of the 5 we have during the school day. Now, not really sure how that's going to look this year with all that's going on. What I've already talked with the Title I contacts, Ms. Rouse and Ms. Congleton, is for sure making these first 2 virtual. Definitely making those 2 virtual. Maybe by May 6th, we can have some type of a normal life and we can have a nice book bingo. But all certified staff are required to attend those 3 Title I events a year. The other 2, like I said, are during the day. Trade-off time for certified staff, you can see that there. Transitions in the hallway, that won't be too much of an issue this year because we're going to keep transitions to a minimum. But what you'll hear a lot of people say in our school is called third block. Third block just reference the third block from the wall. So when you're walking around, you're looking in the hallways and stuff like that, look at the walls and then count the third block over. That's kind of the expectations of our students, that they walk on the third block from the wall. So you hear me say it a lot, teachers will say it a lot. So that just is what that means, okay? Tornado drill. Hopefully we're not dealing with that anytime soon. But you can see your designated areas for a tornado drill. If you have any questions about it, just let me know. It's kind of, I know it's a little bit vague when it says 3-5 hall outside classroom. Talk to me, I can kind of point you more in that direction. Ms. Mabry, can you call the office staff in here? Tutoring for pay. Of course, you cannot receive any pay for tutoring. Use of telephones. This is your actual school phone that's in your classroom. And that's just, of course, making sure that you know it's business. Please don't collect calls to Japan, trying to figure out where your Amazon box is, okay? Videos and DVDs. Go ahead.
Let me ask you a quick question. We had this problem back at Brooks with a lot of our families coming into the area. Their cell phones or their contact number is out of the area. How do we handle that here?
So we don't necessarily have that issue here. It used to be, what was it? I would say 5+ years ago. You always have to dial 9 and then dial out. The school, the systems that we have now, the phone systems, you can just dial it and it goes to it. Yep. All of our phones are set up so that you can just call directly out. Yep. It used to be that you had to do the 9 and that was a pain because you're like, is this a local call? Is it a long distance call? But since they upgraded our phone system, you don't have to worry about it. The office staff have been directed that during instruction, they are to forward any phone calls to your voicemail, not actual phone calls. So they'll do that so not to interrupt you, okay? Unless it is your plan period or something like that. Videos and DVDs, of course, shouldn't be showing videos and DVDs much, but there is a written request that you have to give to me if you would like to show a video. That's just a way to make sure that it's okay for the audience that you have in your classroom. So as you can see here, only G-rated movies will be for K2. Movies are PG for 3-5 and PG-13. Movie requests preceding holidays will not be approved, okay? Visitors, this is obsolete, but we will, we've got that outlined on the addendum, okay? Weather warning definitions. Weekly duties, this is just saying, hey, make sure that you are present at your weekly duties. All of y'all are classroom teachers, so you don't have too much to worry about as far as morning duties and stuff like that. Yes, sir. No, you're good. You ask a question. Mhm.
Back to the videos on DVD.
Yes.
I understand that 100% did it
Mhm.
before. What if we are using Discovery Ed or National Geographic?
That's fine. Yes, and if you're showing little clips and stuff like that, that's fine too. You know, if you've got an activating strategy that is a YouTube video that's 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes long, that's fine. More so, it's more to curtail those that won't show Charlie Brown and Thanksgiving before Thanksgiving. Yeah. But if you decide, some of our, our middle school teachers, when they were doing a reading or a book study or something like that, they would want to show the movie along with it. And that's fine. Just have to make sure that that's approved and stuff. Mm-hmm. Weekly schedule. This is more for K4 teachers. Remember, I highlighted kind of what your schedule could look like. If y'all want to change that, by all means, talk it over with your grade level. Come see me, and then we can add it to the master schedule. But if you decide to change it, it just has to be done by August the 11th. Okay? So the rest of this stuff is just lockdown procedures and practices that we'll go over with you once we kind of settle some things out. But once again, we've got a lot of things to cover. And then the school improvement team bylaws. If you turn to page 53, that was our old device acceptable use policy. Once again, that's obsolete this year because the county has their own that Miss Raphael, our media coordinator, will go over with y'all. Okay. And then the last page there is just a disclaimer, just to make sure that you read that. All right. What questions might you have? All right. Do you want to take a couple minutes, stretch your legs for a moment, use the bathroom, get some water, eat some candy, whatnot, and then we'll have the office staff coming here. Is that good with y'all? All right, so it's 10:53. Let's start back at 10:56, okay? If you would like to use the bathroom, there are some right here that you may use. Of course, there's hand sanitizer on the way. And if you would like some waters, there's some up here. Of course, candy in front of you, okay? Hopefully I didn't bore y'all too much.
Not quite an overload.
Yeah.
I have to see like you and I did the same thing this weekend.
Yes, yes. And of course, mine is an Oscar the Grouch because of my daughter.
Side question, before we get to puzzle, have you ever considered changing the school name at Cullis Global Studies?
So I believe Belvoir, y'all changed your name, right? Belvoir to Belvoir dos, or what was it? Dos Mundos. We haven't gotten that far yet. I don't know legally and all the other things, since all of our stuff has Pactolus as far as checkbooks and all that stuff, how that would have to play
Just
out.
curious, because
yeah,
things I've been thinking in my head about.
it would be
y'all.
very nice to have like a Pactolus Global School, because a lot of people will say Pactolus Elementary School, or not just elementary school.
Right.
So that's
I mean, something down the road.
Yeah.
Of course, it would have to be board approved and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I did talk to my principal before I left, and she said that when we get down here, anything that we need, she will send
wonderful.
everything.
Awesome. Perfect.
From all the years of Brooks doing global things.
Awesome.
So I've got it ready for y'all.
Wonderful. That's why I put you on it.
I had a feeling.
That's why I put you on it. Thank you. We are ready for the office.
You are. Right. Oh, yeah. Well, being in Greensboro with Honda Jet and GF Corporation, all these kids come in, 252, 87, all the areas. Like, they're like, please call me out. They're not calling you from my room. One phone, all you will call it. But that's so much better. And I finally started using Google Voice. And that started working because sometimes the parents don't yeah, on the supply list. It looked, I said, all of them having the same basic. Because I flipped like 7th grade basic, and then math, reading would be just like 2 or 3 things. So I thought maybe we just all just say everybody needs to have pencils, blue sticks, da, 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 da. Well, so that's the thing. Like I've got supplies, but I'm like, why waste the time? You know, I was thinking, just have this. That's fine. Because either that or that's your ball. Nobody else touches it. You know, that might be something we could say for each kids to get. You need a.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started.
If we tell us why, just say.
All right, so I'm gonna introduce these ladies to you. These are the ladies that are gonna be your best friends. So we have up here Miss Morning. She is our school secretary. She pretends to know it all. Miss Strong, which is our bookkeeper, and then Miss Moore, which is our data manager. So I'm gonna come up here and I'm gonna maneuver the computer just so they don't have to touch the computer, but I'm gonna give it over to them.
A little bit about myself. Petco was my school when I was here. Elementary, born and raised in Petco. So I kind of know a lot about the area. So they come to me for buses. So y'all know that, for buses, for routes, and all that, or grandma, the aunt, uncle, sister, the brother. We're gonna find somebody to get in contact with a person. I am also your payroll secretary. So anything that has to do with your check, your money, please come to me. And I will make sure, if I don't know the answer, I will find out.
Make sure. All right, cannot hear well. Can you possibly maybe stand right here? Stand right here so that you can speak into the microphone.
Where's the microphone at?
This computer.
Jesus. So I'm gonna talk with my, so y'all can hear me well, okay? All right. All right, things to remember to keep the secretary happy. Please complete the staff information sheet as soon as possible. You've already done that. The office hours are from 7 to 4. Disregard the signing it out because of COVID. We won't be able to do that this year. Leave forms and payroll information. No leave forms will be approved the day before or after a holiday. No leave will be approved on a Monday. Not unless it's a extenuating situation. We can work with you, but please remember to turn in leave request forms in the office at least 5 days in advance, and I will show you that form when need be. Teachers that require a sub can only use a sick day or a personal day. Please let me know when you plan on being away from the building. Please schedule your appointments according to your work hours due to limited coverage, which that will be in a real day, real time. So with us being virtual face-to-face, we'll just gotta work with what we have because we really don't want a lot of people in and out of the building. Professional leave forms will be completed by me. Workshops have to be approved by Mr. Mackins before you can attend. And when I say professional leave forms, I don't know if we're gonna do that this year, but if you have to go somewhere, just let me know. That's all you gotta do, let me know. I'll take care of subs, which in the real world, we're not in the real world right now. I'll take care of your subs and making sure your professional leave form gets to the appropriate person. Salary option forms will not be accepted after August the 14th. That should be 2020. But some of you should have done it. If you're new to Pitt County, you should have did it at county office. If not, it puts you on the 10-month or the 12-month payroll option. Please remember to go to ASOP as soon as you feel like your situation will not allow you to be able to come to the work. I would enter absence in ASOP only for workshops or emergency. If a sub does not accept the job on the day that you are due to be out, it will be referred to Mr. Magnus. Again, that will work on a normal, but we're not anything normal right now.
So you're talking about the regular absent forms that, if you're sick or something like that, versus professional leave, which is, of course, the teacher work days and things, or teacher PDs and all that good stuff.
Please make sure that you keep up-to-date information in your subfolder in a real world. You have 2,500 copy limit per 9 weeks. The K2 copiers will be on the K2 copier room. 3-5 copier will be in the lounge. The 6-8 copier will be in the halftime remediation office. And when we get ready to take a tour, I'll try to be with y'all so that you'll see all these areas that I'm talking about. Workers' comp, please report any incidents as soon as it happens. Please don't stand up in chairs or on tables. Don't pull, push, or lift heavy materials. Please ask a custodian for assistance. And basically just call the office and we'll walkie-talkie one of them to come to you. Work order, work request. Please report any work requests, work orders to Mr. Ackland or Mr. Taylor.
So Mr. Ackland, once again, is our head. Mr. Taylor is our lead custodian.
Parking, please park only in your designated areas. Don't park on the grass or in the area where car riders are dropped off, picked up, which that changes this year too. So once we get familiar our own selves with the different places to park, you can park basically around the school building, but still we have to see what he done did.
So to kind of give you an idea, so you have the, if you drove up, you saw the buses over here, okay? A lot of individuals that have classrooms on this side will park over there by the buses. Now it's limited amount of spaces, so first come, first serve. What our people that have a space on this end of the building, if you look straight out the building, there are probably about 10 spaces out there. Those are all visitor. It's not clearly labeled. There's a couple of handicap spots, and then the rest of them are visitor spots. It doesn't clearly lay that. You're okay for parking there now. There's nothing wrong with that. But once school starts and we have things kind of flowing, what you'll want to do is park on either the side of the school or that little parking lot that's a little bit farther down. Kind of makes sense.
I don't know what you told them. Are we still everybody coming to the front, or are we gonna have
Yeah.
people at each?
Yeah. Well, I'll have to still come to the front. I'm going to address that this afternoon.
I'm gonna have a long walk.
Yeah.
There's a space designated for anyone that is handicapped. Teachers in the trailers may not park in the spaces outside the trailers. Please keep the office environment as quiet and professional as possible. This year, depending on the number, try calling parents from your classroom. If you have students, call the office and I'll call it, and I can call for you, not let something that you need to relay yourself. That way, if you have some face-to-face children, you have a situation that need to be addressed at that time, I don't mind doing it for you. Please refrain from sitting on the counters or eating lunch while in the office, which nobody will be able to be in there. That's in the real world. But I do it too, so that's why I put it in there. So I go in there and sit on Miss Moore's desk and eat.
No, she don't. She likes to think she does. She doesn't.
And that's all I have for questions. I know it's fast.
So to give you a real brief synopsis, if you have a question, go to Miss Morning. When it comes to substitutes, forms, just go to her and she can direct you on what to do
And
next.
if you still don't come to me, call me, and if I know who it goes to, I'll direct you to that person. Because you would think you would come up with something like receipts. You would think because I'm the payroll person, you would talk to me, but you're talking to me strong. So we try not to answer each other's stuff, because what she knows for real, I might know paper, and I'm gonna take something wrong. But any question, anything that you don't know is not a dumb question if you don't know. So ask us anything. Even to the point where, how do I set up my phone? Where do I go to get this? I mean, we are going to be accessible to you this year because you're not going to be able to do a lot of walking, so we can be more accessible to y'all. So anything that we can do to assist you, even though this is how I'm going to look, anything that we can do to help you, please, feel free. We'll give you our extension numbers. so that y'all can contact us directly. Well, contact me and I'll just tell you. How about that?
One thing these 3 letters will not tell you is that they love helping people. So don't feel like you're overburdening them by asking them a
And
question.
let me tell you this, I don't care what school you came from, when we get back in the real world, that goes like this, secretary, and down. So y'all call them people and tell them, tell them I told y'all.
All right, Ms. Strong.
Good morning, everyone. Stay right here. Okay, just want to give you some bookkeeping procedures, and I'm going to keep my mask on, if you don't mind. Can you hear me? Cash receipt books, I don't know if I'm going to give them out right now. So when the time comes, we'll go over this, and I'll put information in your box, so I'll send it to you via email. But we will have, eventually we'll have receipt books, and whenever that time comes again, we'll you'll be accountable for it. But I'm just gonna skip over that for now, because any money that may come in with the face-to-face students, just let me know, and I'm gonna create a system where I can come to you and opposed to you coming to me. So we're not gonna have like a whole lot, but just we'll figure that out as we get closer to it. You can skip that. Hospitality dues, $15 is what we pay every year for hospitality dues in case there's a death or there's a baby, if there's a wedding, that we can help support our staff and families. So October 5th, Monday, 2020 is the fee, the date for to turn that in. If you need a little more time, just let me know. And purchasing, prior approval, if Mr. Mackins asks you to go out and get something, please make sure you see me to make sure we get all the paperwork taken care of. And have his permission before you go and buy anything, if you wanna.
I do not look good in orange. So.
I do not either.
And one thing that we'll do for y'all, because they've released our monies and all that good stuff, is classroom order supplies. That will be something that y'all will want to kind of do and get over. So it's not just y'all, it's everybody. But we'll go through that with y'all as well.
Okay, purchase order this year. Each teacher is allotted $150 for classroom instructional supplies, and this includes the 7% North Carolina sales tax. So please remember, when you're tallying up your order, to add that in. And you can choose any vendor of your choice as long as it's one of our e-procurement vendors. Amazon is one of the vendors this year. If you want to purchase something from Amazon, the county has sent something out earlier on before we got out to go in and create your account. If you have not done so already, just let me know. But what you can do is go to Amazon, click on create list, put that in, and I should be able to see it, and I can purchase your items from that, whatever you put in. But it only lasts for 7 days, so if you're not gonna get it right then, or if you don't want to order right then, just know after 7 days, it may not be there, or whatever items you order, it may not be offered to you anymore. So just want to make sure we understand that, and no, we're not going to purchase stuff and keep it for yourselves or for your homes. And if you order anything Amazon, make sure that it has the school address on it. You cannot have anything shipped to your homes. It has to have the Patchogue School 3405 Yankee Hall address on it. And make sure you turn in all packing slips being accounted for, all your merchandise coming in. Okay, that's all I have for you now. Like I said, anything that I need to send to you or give to you, it'll be via email. And if you have any questions along the way, we are always open to questions, and we'll answer as best as our ability. Okay, any questions? Okay.
Good morning, everybody. I am Miss Moore, and I have the wonderful privilege of being your data manager. So if you have any questions about Power School, I'm the person you would come and see. Yes, you will be able to ask Ms. Morning some of those questions, and she will answer, but if she has an issue with something, she'll direct you to me. There are a few things here that are on this PowerPoint that are being updated. We just haven't received the information for it yet. So as this information becomes available, I will definitely be sending more emails. The very first thing that you see is attendance. This year, I am asking that all attendance be in Power School by 8:15. Usually we ask that it's done by 8 o'clock, but because of all of the scanning and temperature checking that has to be done, sometimes mornings are going to be a little bit hectic. So I'm going to push that to 8:15 so that you can have time to actually get your students in and actually be able to get your power school in. We won't worry about the first 20 days yet. Once I get more on attendance, I'll explain that a little bit more about how we're going to take attendance the first 20 days. Okay, you can go right ahead. If all of your students are in your classroom by 7:50, that's great. You can go ahead and do your attendance. If a student's not arriving in your classroom by 8 o'clock, should be marked tardy. Even if you're only turning your attendance in to me by 8:15, if that student is still not in your class by 8 o'clock, then they are tardy, okay? If the student arrives late to your class, he or she should present a tardy slip from the front office, and you'll turn these slips in daily to the front office, and we will change those tardies, those absences to tardies. Okay, so you won't have to change it. We'll change it for you. Okay. If a student is absent from your class 3 consecutive days or more, please call home. You guys are the very first line of defense against us missing children, since we may or may not see them every day. And I know this is a little different this year, but in those 5 days that those students come face to face, if they're not in your classroom, let's see if we can find out why. If you can't reach someone, mom, dad, grandparent, someone's on that emergency contact list, let me know. And between myself and our school social worker, our school counselor, we will find the parent. Okay. If the phone numbers are not working, try using email. We're working very hard to place in all student and parent email addresses so that you have them on your roster. If no contact can be made, please email me, and also please submit an attendance referral. We have a sheet here that is created just so that if you have attendance issues, that we have an attendance team, and the attendance team will jump right on it so that you don't have to worry so much. We will keep you updated as to the information that we find, right?
And when you email Miss Moore, make sure you email CC me, Miss Mayberry, our school counselor, and social worker at the same time.
Records. Hot dog. I know everybody's excited about records. So all records this year are housed in, I have 2 offices. So I work in the front office, and there's a second office further down the hall by the counselor's office that you'll see later. This year, if you need to check out a folder, please email me. And what will happen is you're going to email me the name of the student. I will pull that folder for you, and you will pick it up from me. That way, unfortunately, we had some things happen where we're having to guard them a little bit more carefully this year. So I will be doing all that hard work for you. So all you'll have to do is pick it up, request it and pick it up. And then when you're done with it, you'll bring it right back to me, and I'll put it back in the drawer. Okay. Also, that goes for health cards. When you have screenings that come up through the year, I will pull your health cards for you, and I will have them waiting, and you can just pick those up from me. And then when you're done with your screenings, you can return them back to me. Okay. I'm gonna skip this for right now because we still don't have information on that. I will talk about this though, enrollments and withdrawals. As students are enrolled at Pactolis, the receiving teacher will receive an email alerting him or her to the student's arrival. I tried at least the day before to make sure that you know that you have a student coming. You'll get an email from me saying new students enrolling, and let you know that they are coming. They will be in your room the very next day. I'll be talking with Mr. Matkins about how we can do this effectively with face-to-face and virtual now happening, because this is a change for us too. Students will be placed in classes based on the numbers. Well, we're working all that out too. When a student is officially withdrawn, you will receive an email from Ms. Moore. Please bring grade reports, medicines, etc. to the front office within 2 days. So if a child moves to another school or out of county, I will also send you an email for that. If you have anything that belongs to that student in your room, you can bring it to the front office and we will forward it to the new school. You don't have to do anything special. we'll just bring it and put it in my box, or if I'm not at my desk, you put it in the box, but if I'm there, just hand it to me and we'll get it to the new school for you. Okay? And lastly, for me, there is a staff incentive here. We are part of the Chick-fil-A lunch once a month. So starting September, the second Thursday in September, we can order Chick-fil-A lunch. It's a once a month thing, and they deliver it here to the school. All you have to do is pay your money and they bring your lunch. So monies must be received by myself or Ms. Strong by 3 p.m. the day before delivery. So that would be the second Wednesday. I'll send you an email, don't worry. I'll give you an update. And we also have a Google sheet that just lists your order as to what you want. We have original chicken sandwiches, spicy chicken sandwiches, and 8-count nugget boxes available for $7.50. That also comes with waffle chips and a cookie. And we also have grilled market salad, Southwest salads. And this year, the new salad is the Cobb salad, and they're all $8. Yes, everything went up a quarter. Yes, the Cobb salad is available. And we have a list of all the dressings as well that are available to you. So, and you do get a cup of tea. So if you'd like to participate in that, when the sheet is sent, if you just fill in your name and what your order is, how much it is, it will come straight to us and we'll have your order so we can place it with Chick-fil-A. Are there any questions for me? All notes, I just said all notes come to the front office every day.
So any note that you get in a folder from a kid, just have it up here and be.
You'll have there's a red folder that you will get with your name on it. Just bring it up to the office each day before you leave. Thank you.
See that first extension? You see it? Music.
All right, any other questions? As you can see, there's some things we can give y'all now, some things that we're still trying to figure out and wade through that we'll be able to give you an update once we get it, okay? All right, so now it's gonna be a time for you to kind of stretch your legs. So Miss Mayberry in the ICs, if y'all wanna join, you may as well. Just keep in mind that we're gonna keep socially distant, okay? It's gonna be hard, but let's go ahead and start thinking about that now. So Miss Mayberry is gonna walk around and provide a quick little tour. If you want to stay in your classroom, you will not come back here. Okay, so once you've kind of seen the place, you can have one or two choices. You can stay here, kind of get an inventory of your classroom. The only thing I ask is don't move the desk, the student desk. Okay, K2, they are still working. The custodians are still working to move your student desk in place. But you can go ahead and start taking inventory of your classroom, looking at the size of your classroom, what you may need and what you may not need. If you'd like to leave and go off campus and get you a little something to eat, just a breather or something like that, or just go home completely and watch the rest at 1 o'clock on Zoom, that's fine too. But at 1 o'clock, we'll be back in here. So it's up to you if you want to stay or go, okay? Miss Morning has placed the keys to your classroom in your mailbox. So is Miss Mayberry? So when Miss Mayberry walks, she'll show you where the mailboxes are and stuff like that, and then you can stop by and get your key later on, okay? All righty. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you.